Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway. Fire up the grill this 4th of July and enjoy ribeye steaks or burgers for an epic outdoor barbecue. Don't forget to grab some of Safeway's fresh produce for all your summer favorites. Safeway.com. Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Get this, as of yesterday, we are officially closer to the year 2050 than the year 2000. That's a factoid that I had to check twice, and I am still refusing to believe. So, as we walk into this future together, which is, might I add, so far absent of the hoverboards and robot butlers we were all promised, let me just say, thank you for listening. I'm Arlo Perez Esquivel. Coming up, if you plan to be outside this weekend, listen up.
Mosquitoes breed well in wet areas, and not just in remote places, but also in your backyard.
What the outlook for the West Nile virus looks like this summer. Then, schools are not getting the money they expected this week.
It's really putting districts in a tough financial position right now.
Plus, a beloved roadside attraction becomes a memorial.
Pound for pound, dollar for dollar, muscle for muscle, I consider it the world's biggest one-man physical project with the help of God.
It's Thursday, July 3rd. Here's the news in Colorado today. As you prepare for a weekend of barbecuing and camping, be aware that experts warn that there's a risk of West Nile virus if you get bit by mosquitoes. CPR's Haley May is bringing us advice on how to avoid it, and she's found some surprising things about what makes us more prone to mosquito bites. Haley, why are experts warning us to be careful, and do we have any cases of West Nile virus?
Well, Arlo, so far this year, no people have tested positive for the virus, but state medical entomologist Chris Roundy says that's not unusual because this time of year, the species hasn't really become active. That happens the first part of July.
So far, we have tested hundreds of pools of mosquitoes from across the state, and we have had a few pools test positive for West Nile virus, specifically in Larimer County.
Now, Larimer County has more than 400 campsites, so if that's where you're going this weekend, you'll need to take precautions.
Definitely. And how bad has West Nile been here in the past few years?
Well, it first showed up in Colorado in 2003, and that year it was bad. Nearly 3,000 people caught it, and 66 people did die.
That's really high.
It is, yeah. We didn't have another year that high until 2023 when 634 cases were identified. 51 of those people did pass. But if you get bit, don't panic. Most people don't get very sick, and you may not show symptoms at all. It's really people who are older or those who are immunocompromised who are most at risk. So if you get a bite and then have a rash or fever, that's when you should see a doctor.
So then how is this season looking?
Well, experts don't really seem to think it'll be as bad as 2023 despite all the rain we've gotten recently. As you probably know, mosquitoes breed well in wet areas, and not just in remote places, but also in your backyard. That's something I talked to Sammy Ramsey about. He's an assistant professor of entomology at CU Boulder.
Mosquitoes are only capable of breeding in small pools of stagnant water. And as a result of that, us having, a dog dish outside that fills up with water, a bird bath, or even just a tire sitting over in the corner of our yard, we can inadvertently create the perfect set of circumstances for mosquitoes to breed.
But again, right now, they say the state's mosquito population appears to be around average.
Now, this is 4th of July weekend. A lot of people are either going camping or barbecuing. So what precautions can they take?
Experts recommend the 4 Ds. That's dress in long sleeves and pants, defend with EPA-approved repellents, drain any standing water you can, and avoid peak hours of dawn and dusk.
But the best way of preventing West Nile virus is to prevent mosquito bites. The more times you are bitten, the more likely it is that a disease will be transmitted.
DEET is still the most effective mosquito repellent, but there are more natural options like lemon eucalyptus oil. You just need to apply them much more frequently.
Now, so the big question here, I get bit by mosquitoes a lot, and I get these huge bumps. So it just seems like they're targeting me. And the question is, are some people more susceptible to mosquito bites?
Yes, that is the truth. There are some people who are more susceptible to these bites, Arlo, and I'm sorry that you're one of them. My sister is the same way, and we used to tell her that it's because she's stinky. Now, it's not that you actually smell bad. Here's what happens. Your skin, based on your chemical makeup, expresses different kind of compounds based on what you eat and what medications you're taking, and that all happens through your sweat. Then this kind of cloud forms around you that mosquitoes can smell, and it turns out that some smells are more attractive to them than others.
This is the most polite way of telling me that I should take a shower. Thank you so much, Haley May.
Thank you.
Colorado schools are unsure if they're getting the $70 million in federal funding that they usually expect in July. It supports school staff, before and after care programs, migrant education, and kids with special needs, among other things. Colorado Sun reporter Erica Brenlin has been digging into what this means for students and schools. Erica, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Arlo.
Can you explain what schools would normally expect to happen this first week of July?
Typically, in a normal year, districts would get this grant funding that's on the line July 1st. We clearly have passed that. What happened Monday is that instead of assurance that they would get this money, the Trump administration said, we're not sure that we're actually going to fund these grant dollars. So districts were expecting to get this money. They've already planned for these dollars to go into their budget for the coming school year. That means they've hired positions with these funds. And so this announcement from the Trump administration has really raised a lot of questions about how they move forward with some of these programs and staff members.
So then let's focus on significance of this funding for Colorado schools. You talked to a district in Colorado Springs. What did they say?
So I talked to Superintendent Wendy Berhansel of Harrison School District 2. This is a district in the Springs that serves a high population of students living in poverty. She says that more than $670,000 is on the line for her district. That money in the past has funded things like teacher training institutes where new teachers get to learn how to become their most effective selves in the classroom. This money has also been used to help the district communicate with families who speak a variety of languages. There are 51 languages spoken across the district.
Wow.
The money has also helped English language learner teachers access resources to help their students who are in the process of developing English language skills. So without this money, the district says, we're not going to do away with these programs. We're not going to cut staff. We're simply going to have to shift and pull money from our reserves, pull money from our general fund. And that means that the district will have to figure out other programs or resources that it won't be able to offer. So it's really putting districts in a tough financial position right now.
Did you get a sense of what it might mean for other districts and what programs might be affected or what decisions they'll make?
So the impact will look different district by district. The importance of federal funding really hangs on serving some of our most vulnerable students in Colorado and across the country. So this includes low-income students with what's known as Title I dollars. This includes students who have disabilities. And so how districts are impacted will really depend on the kinds of populations and demographics of students they're serving. But it's very clear that this money is going to really hit hard on some of our most vulnerable students, kids who are learning English, children of migrant farm workers who don't have many resources, students who need the most support in the classroom.
Can you help us understand the bigger picture? How substantial is this federal funding for the schools when you put it within the context of the rest of the funding?
So most of the funding for schools in Colorado comes from state and local resources, state funding, local property taxes, things like local bonds and mill levy overrides. So federal funding is not the most significant portion of the school funding pie. It's a fairly small percentage. At the same time, it really does help the education and the well-being of kids who don't have the best start in life really get up to where they need to be in the classroom.
And is all of the federal education money being withheld?
Not all of the federal education money. So the state has received some assurance that it will get some federal funding, for example, for kids who are homeless, for other kids who are categorized as delinquent. It's just some specific grant programs are really up in the air right now, as the Trump administration says that it's evaluating these programs to make sure they are in line with the Trump administration's education priorities.
And now, to be clear, Congress did appropriate the money that we're talking about, and Trump signed it into a funding bill in March, even though now he's holding it back. What's the future of it? Might it be taken away permanently?
That remains to be seen, Arlo. I think there are very real fears among state education officials that we may not see this money hit the ground and help schools. I spoke with State Education Commissioner Susana Cordova, who told me that means they have a few options on the table. They can either move forward with programs and staff who are funded by these federal dollars and either pull from their general funds, pull from their reserves, and hope that the money will come later so that they can reimburse themselves from those federal funds. Or they can stop these programs altogether, which means that kids are not going to be getting the variety of programs that they need to really support them in the classroom.
Erica Brinlin from the Colorado Sun, thank you so much for your reporting.
Thank you, Arlo.
On this Saturday, a public memorial will be held in one of Colorado's strangest and most beloved landmarks, Bishop Castle. It's a towering stone structure deep in the forest of Southwest Pueblo. It has spires that rise above the treetops, massive stained glass windows, and a dragon's head that actually breathes fire and smoke. For decades, Bishop's Castle has been a roadside curiosity and a tourist attraction. Now, it is also a monument for the man who built it, Jim Bishop, who died last November at the age of 80. Bishop's Castle wasn't built by a crew or a company. It was a lifelong obsession for Jim, who poured nearly every single day of his adult life into it by hand.
Without cranes, without money, without a rich daddy, by hand, high school dropout, I worked for a living. Paid for as I go, no bankers.
Jim started the project in 1969, and he describes it in a 1994 interview with NPR.
Pound for pound, dollar for dollar, muscle for muscle, I consider it the world's biggest one-man physical project with the help of God, always open free to the public.
According to Jim's wife, Phoebe, building a castle wasn't part of the original plan. It was going to be a simple stone cottage for the two of them to live in. Then it grew, and before long, neighbors started whispering about a castle taking shape.
And so after 4 years of listening to that, are you building a castle? Did you buy a castle and you're putting it up? What are you doing? And so Jim sat down around a fire one day and with his mom and dad and me, and he says, the people want a castle, let's build him one.
That decision started a seemingly endless series of projects, with always something new to build, fix, or dream up. Jim imagined creeks and fountains, wrought iron gates, and even a scenic elevator powered by gravity.
The weight of the people will turn automotive alternators, charging batteries, a tourist or people electric system.
Jim's progress began to slow in 2015. He got diagnosed with cancer, then Parkinson's. His son Daniel has since taken over.
There's enough work there that it would take 2 or 3 lifetimes to complete.
The castle is unfinished. Jim wanted to make a moat, but he only got started. The inside isn't done. But maybe unfinished is just how this castle is meant to be. As Jim told us in his last interview with CPR, his castle is a gift to others.
Them walls, them buttresses, arches, towers, if there wasn't somebody to climb on them, be inspired by them, get married up there, and use them and have fun screaming and hollering and climbing, be no point in doing it.
To see pictures of Jim Bishop's castle, check the link in our show notes. You'll also see a link with the information for the memorial service, which is planned for Saturday from 10 to 2 at the castle. Reporting for today's show also came from KRCC's Shauna Lewis. Tomorrow on this feed, look out for a bonus episode. Bosley goes behind the scenes with NPR's Lakshmi Singh, and we'll be back with your news in Colorado on Monday. Have a great 4th of July weekend, and if you have the chance, please leave us a review. It really helps out the podcast. I'm Arlo Perez Esquivel. This is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, proud to stock fresh produce, tender cuts of meat, and more from Colorado farms and local small businesses. You support local when you shop at Safeway. Shop at Safeway.com or in the Safeway app. Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.